Good afternoon, everybody, and good morning to you, Ross, and good morning to me, because our time is different. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, mate. Only 1 hour difference.
Yeah, exactly. A lot better. I tell you, it's rough sometimes watching these live streams in the U.S. because
Yeah,
ours is like a 12-hour difference. I've got to get up by 5 in order to prepare for this.
Yeah, I
Or
mean, we look like this.
yeah,
We're on
exactly,
the other side of the world.
exactly, exactly. How's the weather there?
It's cloudy today. Supposed to get a storm later on today. It's not cold
Yeah,
though.
it's
No,
yeah. Well, you know the weather over here as good as I do because I know you check. But yeah,
yeah,
man, it's
it's
been raining so much here. They've got so much flooding and everything else going on. Man, it's just like it's a
yeah,
mess,
it's
man. It's a
always hot
mess.
over there, and it's quite
Yeah.
funny to
When are
watch.
you?
Quite funny to
When are you
watch.
heading back over here?
I go over there to see that property in Pratamac. Uh, the first weekend of November, just for
Okay.
4 days. Yeah. So
Okay. Well, let me
have
know
to
when.
inspect it.
Let me know when you come, and we'll meet up. And this time, hopefully, we can fly.
Yeah, no worries. As long as the drone police aren't on our case, we'll be fine.
I don't think it's going to be an issue. Say hello to a couple
No.
of people in the chat. Hey, GM Droning. We got One Vision Aerial in here. And we got Steve Knowles. Hey, Steve. How you doing, buddy? Well, look, you know what I wanted to talk about tonight, so we don't have to talk about DJI a lot, is let's talk about Autel a little bit. Tell me why
Sure.
you like the Autel line.
There you go. There's it. I'm not speaking on behalf of Autel only. I do have DJI in the hangar. But how many? There's the Nano.
Yeah.
There's the Lite Plus, and there's the Lite. So the difference
Yeah.
between the difference between the Lite and the Lite Plus is the camera. Everything else is identical. So the Lite Plus has the RGGB filter with a 1-inch sensor, and the I don't know if you can see that. Let me just get that set up properly. Bear with me a sec. Come on, camera.
Yeah.
So with the Lite, it has the RYYB sensor. So that's a 1/1.28 inch sensor, up to 58 megapixel with the quad Bayer, and
Right.
it has a 4-axis gimbal instead of a 3-axis. So the Lite allows you to do the vertical shooting, and it also has that unusual feature where it'll rotate the gimbal when you're shooting video.
Yeah.
But outside of
Well,
that, the Lite and Lite Plus are exactly the same.
right. But the difference in the cameras between the Lite and the Lite Plus, one is the 6K and one is the 4K, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the RYYB is essentially the same camera as the Nano Plus. The Lite Plus is probably just an improved sensor on the Evo 2 Pro.
Yeah.
However, the color science, I was always whinging and complaining about the Evo 2 Pro with its color science. You know, it was damn hard work to edit the imagery off that drone. A bit too much magenta in the color science, whereas the new lineup of drones, you know, the Nano and the Lite, you know, the color science is very good. It's actually similar to the your Hasselblad color science.
Yeah.
If you put them side by side, you wouldn't know which is which. Probably the only giveaway would be, I'm not in the color anyway. The giveaway for the two drones imagery would be the Autel has a bit more color saturation and contrast.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the actual color science itself, it's very hard to pick a difference. You know, they're very similar with the DJI and the Autel with the new drones, that is.
Yeah. Well, I've heard a lot of people talking about the regular light having the same camera as an nano, and the people are like, "No, it's not. Look, one is little and one is big. That's the frame that holds it. That's not what's inside the camera." So inside it may have the same camera, but it just has a different mounting. And plus, it has a bigger mounting because it does vertical.
The light.
Yeah.
You're talking about the light. Yeah. The light. Look, the light just opens up a new perspective on capturing, be it photos. You can do vertical shooting, a bit like the Mini 3.
Yeah.
But additionally, and you can do that with the video as well. But additionally, it's got that rotating gimbal, so you know it just literally spins. You know, the image
Right.
spins. You know, 360 or 720 clockwise or anti-clockwise, whatever.
Right.
It's just an additional take on you know, your videography. Just put something
So,
different into your videos.
right. So when you're flying, you can not as an image, but when you're actually flying video and it's turning, you ever get confused if you're upside down?
I'm always upside down. I'm down under, remember? But no, it's. I've had a lot of people comment when they've seen videos with it included. You know, they're getting dizzy watching it. But you can adjust the speed of the rotation as well, so you can make it
Yeah.
up to 2 minutes or up to whatever it is, so many seconds. I can't remember now, but there's a bit of flexibility there. Anyway,
Yeah. Let me say
just a
hello to a
nice
couple of
addition.
people in the chat. We got Ray Kelly came in. Charles Gillespie is in here. Let's see who else. I already said hey to you, Jim. Well, I'll tell you what, I got a couple of videos that I want to show that you've got. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Some of those might have that rotating gimbal, Robbie.
Yeah.
If
I'm going to
it's a
look first.
light.
Let me get it started first here.
Three, two, one.
Yeah, I've got to make an adjustment on my monitor
Take.
because my monitor is like 48, 49 inches. So when I share it, it's real wide. So I'm going to do it like this. Let's see.
This is the video I took on Saturday morning.
Let me know if it's sized right. Can you see?
You just need to enlarge it.
You know, what drone is this?
That's the light. So that's with the RYYB sensor. I didn't. These shots into the sun. Had I used HDR, I wouldn't have got all that blur around the sun. So I was just using the standard profile, not HDR. But in that image, you can see the dynamic range. See the street lights reflecting off the water.
Yeah, you can see the light under the bridge too.
Because that was really quite dark at that point. You know, it was the start of twilight.
How far away are you from where the drone is now?
It took me 30 minutes to drive to this spot.
Yeah, you're remote to the drone, but the distance, how far away you flying out to get there?
But I made the feature of this video was this single mango tree. Not mango tree, a mangrove tree. A lot of the photographers locally, they use it as a point of reference for sunset photos. Whereas what I was doing was capturing it for sunrise. Now that arch there, that Art Deco arch, is the old bridge that used to cross across the bay. So they demolished the bridge and just left the Art Deco entrances.
This is water drones. Ross, is this saltwater fresh? Saltwater?
Yeah, picked a good morning. I've got another friend who's always banging on my door to go drone flying, and he certainly picked a good morning. You can see the city up there on the top right-hand corner.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a little bit long, this video, but towards the end of the video is where it becomes daylight, and I actually use that rotating gimbal. Yeah, there you are. Certainly, if there's one thing I'll say about the Autel, I can probably talk about it after this video is finished, but as to why I have a preference to use the Autel over the DJI, that's a nice shot there.
Very nice. Very nice. So that's saltwater, Ross? Freshwater.
Yeah, saltwater.
Saltwater.
So out in front of where those bridges are, I mean, there's a river and a large inlet that goes into a bay, Moreton Bay, and then out on the horizon is the second biggest sand island in the world. It's basically beach sand covered in trees, Moreton Island. So it forms a naturally protective bay from the ocean, and then of course all the ships go in through the bay, to the port of Brisbane. But yeah, I consider myself very lucky to live in southeast Queensland, which is our region. Just got so much variety of be it geography or what have you, to fly in, from big long beaches to the estuaries, to the national parks and waterfalls and the city, whatever. I mean, it's pretty endless. Within an hour's drive, it's just hundreds and hundreds of different places to fly. Just very lucky.
I'm going to show one more here. 1 second. I'm going to drop your link to your channel for anybody that hasn't subscribed. Here's Ross's link to his YouTube channel. And let's show this other one that you've got. This one is going to be the picture perfect. Picture perfect.
Is that Wellington Point, is it?
Yes, it is. See it okay, Ross?
Yes, mate. This was at the very start of twilight. It was really quite dark, but as the drone sweeps around, you can see the aperture, not the aperture, but the light within the lens changing. It'll open up. This is from the Nano Plus. That's a little mangrove island that you can walk out to on low tide.
It's beautiful.
Just captured that scene just to get the silhouette.
Yeah.
I was just going to add, Rod, I always like to fly in the, what do you call it, happy hour? Yeah, the happy hour gives you all that heavy contrast with all your colours and blacks and whites. Just get some great imagery. So there's that spit out to the mangrove island. So that particular location is sort of south of Moreton Bay, whereas where I shot with that bridge is at the far north end of Moreton Bay, because Moreton Bay,
Yeah.
it must be 100 square kilometres, or whatever, 70 square mile of
Wow.
of water.
When you're flying out for those shots, what kind of distance are you flying out to get that shot? Are you flying out like a quarter mile? I mean, how far out do you go when you're doing this?
Well, that barge would have been a couple of 100 metres off the the coastline. It wasn't very far.
Yeah.
So the old saying is you're supposed to see your drone when you're flying, and of course all of us flyers do that. We never fly outside
Exactly.
VLOS. If you get my drift, but yeah, I mean the barge wasn't far away. That little island with the mangroves would have been about, I don't know, 1.5 k's, 1 mile out from the shoreline.
Yeah. Wow.
But
Well,
yeah,
here they want you to take you're supposed to take a fire extinguisher here when you go. I'm not sure why, but it's in the rules. When you fly here, you're supposed to have a small fire extinguisher with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you drink a lot of water, you've got one.
I mean, here, what do they want a fire extinguisher for, Ross? You will verify this. If a drone falls in Thailand, where's it going, Ross? In the water.
Yeah, no, and water and lithium mix so well. I mean, sort of defeats the purpose, really. But anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell me this: out of all the drones you've got now, I'm kind of like thinning out what I had before. I bought my first DJI FPV like a month and a half ago, and then I just bought the Avata, and then I bought the Mini 3. And I always said that I was not going to buy any more mini drones because you know how fierce the wind gets here. But
yeah,
after looking at it long enough and looking at it and seeing it in the store, I was like, you know what? People like it. I'm going to go ahead and I bought it and I'm happy. So I've liquidated my Air 2S. I sent it to the US and sold it to one of the guys in our group. And
Yep.
today, the Mavic 3 and the RC Pro Smart Controller are going to the US for sale. I don't fly
Okay.
that enough.
Yeah.
So, my whole theory here is my next drone, hopefully, if they have an Air 3,
An Air 3. Yeah.
maybe,
I think
yeah,
the biggest. DJI is always about bringing out new models, no matter what. No matter what it is, whether it's the Mavic 3, the Mini, the whatever, they're
yeah,
always. It seems to be their business model to have a new upgraded model within 12 months.
yeah.
So the sad part about that is you don't get to spend much time with your drone before a new model comes out, and then the drone you got starting to depreciate because there's a new model out. I've got that's the Mavic 3 Pro, and the Mavic 3 Classic is supposed to be coming out soon. So I don't know whether that's going to depreciate all those people with the Mavic 3 Pro. That's the
Yeah.
unknown question. Admittedly, they are different because one has the telephoto camera.
Yep.
But in terms of to fly, this thing, nothing can beat it as far as a camera
Oh
drone is
yeah.
concerned. It's just absolutely unbelievable to fly.
Hmm.
It's the best camera drone I've ever had in terms of how it performs in the air.
Yeah.
And DJI's software appware is very, how would I say, very mature, and it's very complete. And then if I turn around to to these guys in terms of how they fly, I mean, actually the light model flies pretty well. It's probably the closest thing to a DJI.
Yeah.
It's fast, it's agile, it's pretty good on the sticks. The Evo 2 Pro was a bit like a big semi trailer, like a prime mover, big heavy drone. I mean, look, it was extremely reliable and robust, and it could handle any winds. Like, if anything, I thought the Evo 2 Pro could handle better winds than even the Mavic 3. It's pretty solid. In relation to the Nano, I think there's been enough said about the one the camera's very good, but two, it does have some points that need improvement. And Autel, in terms of product development, their product engineers are absolutely they're flash. They're very very good at developing the products.
Yep.
The downside is that once they release the product, their software improvements, with be it firmware updates, whatever,
Yep.
they just take forever. And you're giving them feedback on how to improve it, and nothing happens. So
Service issues. That was the issue that I had when I had, the Nano had the same problems as everybody else. My Light Plus just had an LED problem on the light. I sent it back and they were like, "Oh, we replaced the bad motors." Like, what do you mean motor? All I needed was an LED. I mean, one
yeah,
thing
yeah,
after the other. I was just like,
yeah. Well,
I just
you
didn't deal with it.
you got. I think you got the first batch, and so did I.
Yeah.
And Marcus Crawford, he got the first batch as well. And I think there was they at the time that they released the Nano and the Lite. Believe it or not, Autel completely changed their manufacturing plant from one factory to another.
Yeah.
And I think that brought on inherent issues, with their manufacturing for that first batch. Like,
Yeah.
the thing I had and Marcus had was the actual gimbal dampeners in the
The Jello.
in the Nano, they were put on the wrong way. They put the front ones on the back and vice versa. And so that entire first batch had jello. So all of them had to get sent back. Or if any owners haven't sent them back, you should. Anyway, I did that. I sent it back to Shenzhen, and they replaced the dampeners, and haven't had jello since. The issue with the Nano, and it was probably highlighted with Quick Ass Tutorials. He did a video on Sunday, I think it was. There's no pro mode in log or raw, and it sort of defeats the purpose. I mean, it's that's where you want it more than anywhere else, because it's those people that are using the manual settings. They usually shoot in pro in log or raw. So there's that issue. That's probably the primary one. The other ones are only minor. But what I will say, and I keep saying this to a lot of people, is RYYB technology, as opposed to all the other drones, like the RGGB, with every other drone, it just works different. And I've given this feedback, well, I've given it to you when I was in Thailand, but I give it to a lot of other people too, to Ron Brown or whoever. When you shoot in your standard mode with the RYYB sensor, so that's your MP4 or MOV standard mode, or in your JPEGs, I don't know what the algorithms are doing, but it delivers a completely different result to what I get out of raw or log. When I take raw or log files off this Nano or the Lite, and particularly my style of shooting where I'm doing in twilight, where there's a lot of light differential, so to speak, with the log and raw, I get color banding, which is associated with your 8-bit color.
Yeah.
But when I pull off the files for your standard JPEGs and MP4, I'm not getting it. And then also the amount of editing flexibility that I can get on those standard images is almost as good as log and raw. And that completely goes against the grain of anyone that uses an RGGB filter on a camera. You can't get the flexibility with standard files with an RGGB file. You can only get it with your log and raw images. But with RYYB, it's just broken all the rules. For me anyway. Now I'm talking a bit, from myself personally. That's my experience. When, like for example, Quick Ass Victoria's, he said, "Oh, they don't have log in, pro in log and all the rest." Well, you can actually use the manual settings in your standard modes, rather than even worry about your log and raw, and you're getting better results anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, yes, it doesn't have pro settings in log and raw, but who cares? I mean, that's my personal thoughts.
Yeah.
Other people may say, "Oh no, but I want it," and I'm going, well, it's RYYB. Sorry, it breaks the rules.
Everybody has a different need why they're buying a particular drone, and I always laugh because it's like, I want more sensors. I was like, learn to fly. I don't use sensors that often because, I mean, where you fly, and you're probably like the way I am over here, you have a sweet spot for altitude. Like mine here is 23 meters. If I'm at 23 meters, I don't get anything except for a radio antenna, and I know where they're at. I don't have to worry because you fly in a lot of dark areas, and I saw you going like this in those trees. And I'm like, he knows his altitude limit.
Yep, you got to know your environment before you do those sorts of things. The other thing is with this Nano is it's never had the dynamic tracking introduced. So it's been in in beta forever.
Yeah.
And I spoke to what's her name, Thea Tian, which is I think she's the marketing manager over in Autel in Shenzhen. And I said to her, I said, when are you bringing it? And she says, I'll give them another nudge, So yeah, whatever. We've been only been waiting 9 months. But this thing will track a person in portrait mode. I don't know how good or bad it is. I'm not into the tracking. But there was someone on social media that said, look, you can just track someone using the portrait mode, so it doesn't really matter. So there's that. And then, of course, the other thing is, it's not as good in the wind as the Mini 3. We all know that. And then, hence the reason
did you
why...
Buy it there? Did you buy yours in Australia?
No,
you bought your Nano Plus in Australia? No,
I bought it from AliExpress.
Okay.
AliExpress, yeah. And so, given all the inherent little issues with the Nano, I thought, well, there's another drone with an RYYB sensor, this guy. And it essentially, apart from the fact that it still doesn't have Pro mode for log and raw, because that's across the entire Autel Sky app, that problem. But it gets rid of all the other issues that are inherent with the Nano. So it's a bigger aircraft. It can fly and handle heavy winds. It flies fast. It's agile.
Yep.
It's got the RYYB sensor where I want that additional dynamic range. And what else? It has the dynamic tracking. Not that I use it, but it has it. And the battery life or the flight time. I mean, this guy, I get about 18 minutes, normal flying, realistically. Whereas the light I can get flight times the same as a Mavic 3.
Yeah, but look how big the battery is. It's like a baked potato. It's like 3/4 of the weight is in that battery.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had to go to the gym and do a couple of weeks workout before I could lift the damn thing up. No, it does have a huge those have huge batteries. I was shocked because I was going to wall mount my adapter where it locks on, and I was like, shit, it'll pull the studs out of the wall. So I had to lay it this way in order to get it. So my Nano, when I had Jello, I knew they were fixing it. A couple of people told me, we're sending them in and we're getting them fixed. So I just didn't like it after flying it. My only issue, Ross, was when I was flying away from the wind, like with the wind, I never got Jello. But when I turned around and had any wind coming into the front where it affects those dampers, it was bad. So I boxed it up and I gave it to Al, my co-host at World Drone Community. It's like, here, have this. So I sent it to him and he sent it back to Autel and they actually fixed it. And they sent him, I think they gave him like a free remote with it to another. I don't know what they gave him. So he's got the drone. He likes it. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing, of course, to bear in mind when you're changing from one drone to the next. I mean, we're referring to DJI and Autel at the moment, but it could be Fimi or Hubsan or whoever. Is that the way the sticks react on your RC and how the drone reacts with the controller is different. So if you're an Autel flyer going to DJI, you'll find that the sticks are very responsive, very quick. The responsiveness of DJI, it's the best. And with the Autel, it's a lot slower. And also find that if someone's been flying only DJI forever, they have muscle memory with how they use the sticks. Yep. And so I've seen quite a few reviews where you get these DJI, essentially they're DJI flies. They only review DJI. They only fly DJI,
Right.
and then they'll pick up one of these and fly it for a week and then do a review, and they'll insinuate that it doesn't fly straight, and that's because I don't know what they're doing with their fingers, but it's not the drone.
Yeah, it's the operator.
It's the operator. And no offense, reviewers, but it's your fault.
But you know what? But the reviewers, you got to keep in mind, DJI gives the drone to the reviewers. Autel probably doesn't give as many drones away as DJI does. That's one of the reasons they do the reviews.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, a lot of the greater majority of those high flyer reviewers, they're essentially sponsored by DJI. They get a free product, and then they talk good about the product, and then they wait for the next one to come out, and they'll get another free product.
Right.
Do you expect those guys to talk bad about a drone or a gimbal or whatever when they're getting free product? No.
I know somebody big that did, and they stopped sending DJI drones, and they told him if he took one of his video downs that they'd give him, and he said no.
Yeah, well, see, I'm trying to keep it in perspective, but I think you know where I'm coming from. That when you're getting sponsored by a manufacturer, and I don't care whether it's DJI or anyone else, Samsung, whatever. If you're getting sponsored by by that manufacturer with free product, you can't tell me it doesn't influence what they say in their reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's a whole another can of worms to discuss. I prefer to listen to the reviews whereby they're not influenced by product sponsorship.
Right.
They buy the products themselves, and they're not wholly and solely DJI. They review all sorts of products.
And they're pickier. They're pickier when you pay for it. If you listen to the guys, I bought it. I paid XYZ dollars for it, and I don't like it because of this. I mean, they're honest because it's their money. Then it's a different situation, and
Totally.
That's one thing with us. Most of the people in our group, we're not. We're like 5,000 subs and under, in that range. We all do reviews. We all have to buy our own. But the other people that are higher, a lot of them are getting their drones free. A lot of us don't even watch their videos. We might watch to see our buddies on their channel or something. But we don't watch because they're not the average Joe that took his hard-earned money, went out and had to buy that drone. And then we give an honest review for it. So I prefer to watch videos from people that had to take the money out of their pocket to buy it.
Yeah, exactly. And look, from where I sit, from a YouTube channel perspective, I've got 1,150 subscribers, but the type of videos that I do don't attract a lot of views. I do it as a passion. I like to go out and film a beautiful spot, and that's my passion.
In the video. When you watch the video, you feel that. You feel that you took the time to get it right. You just didn't go through every quick shot option that's in the drone and pop it up there. I mean, yours really goes through. And a lot of that is audience, on who your audience is. I mean, I would prefer to have 1,100 subscribers that really watch my videos, that gave me feedback, than have 30 or 40,000, because you see people that got 50,000 subscribers and look in their chat and they got like 120 people or 130 people in their chat. Well, that's not a good option. If only 130 are watching and you got 50,000 people that are there.
Yeah, but I mean, from a YouTube perspective, if you want a lot of subscribers, you do reviews.
Right.
I'll throw this up and say, let's do the tracking. There's a couple of thousand reviews. Oh, hang on, I'll put this up. Like I did a review on the camera on this, and that's over 1,000, and yet the other videos I do, if I get a couple hundred, I'm lucky. But I don't care. I do it.
Well,
I do it for fun.
At the end of the day, as well as me, at the end of the day, there ain't no money in it. There's no money in YouTube. There's money in getting free products from the company, so you're not having to come out of your pocket. but there's no
Yeah.
money in YouTube unless you've got a huge amount of subscribers that are giving you money in chats. Dude, it ain't worth it. You could go out and work at McDonald's and make more each month than you would make as a bigger YouTuber. They don't make any money. None of them do just YouTube. They all got a side,
No.
2 or 3 side business hustles that they got to get going. Dude, I just like, it's not worth it. It's just not.
Yeah, I don't really worry about that sort of thing. But the other question you asked is why? Getting back because we digressed. Why do I use Autel drones instead of the DJI for my videos? And that comes down to the cameras. You know,
Mhm.
if I only wanted to fly a drone for its flying capability, I would never buy an Autel drone. You know, the DJI blitzes the field insofar as its flying prowess. You know, it's just benchmark. They're just first rate.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of cameras, I obviously have a different opinion to most, and the reason why I say most is because most fly DJI. You know, but
Mhm.
but it's just my experience from actually getting uh, the results from the DJI drones and then getting the results with the Autel drones. I can just get more out of the Autel cameras than I can out of the DJI cameras.
Yeah.
And a classic case in point, like the Mavic 3, does it take beautiful imagery? Damn right it does. It's fantastic. And
It should.
yeah, for $4,000 Australian, it takes fantastic imagery, and I love that telephoto lens. That is an absolute sensation. It works really well. But on the other hand, when it comes to all that twilight footage that I take, you know, where you just got enormous difference in the light and color range, and
Mhm.
I just find with the Autel cameras I can get more dynamic range out of them. And when I say that, I can play more with the shadows and highlights when I'm post editing, and I can't do that so much with the Mavic. Look, I've got no doubt there'll be people out there that'll argue until they're blue in the face that I'm wrong, and I don't care. That's just my opinion. Um, the RYYB sensor though, which is on the Nano and the Lite, um, I don't think there's a consumer drone out there that can deliver the dynamic range that those two can, and that's including the Mavic 3.
Well,
You know,
tell me
I can,
this. Where do
yeah.
you see the future of drones going? And let's start off talking about like minis. In order to stay under 249 grams, what else can they add, Ross? I mean, what else can they add to make us reach in our pockets, pull out more money to buy the next drone? I mean, the Mini 3 has got pretty much all the features
Well,
that you
DJ,
would need in a Mini. What else? What do you see in the future that you think they'll try to
DJI has its own
in
inherent
both?
problems itself because they've got products at different levels, and they can't bring the Mini 3 up to the Mavic Air and so on. They've got product
Exactly.
conflict, um, whereas other manufacturers don't have that issue. But if you're talking
Right.
about the Mini, if you're talking about where I think it'll go, it's probably new.
All mini drones. What can they add of value that we feel like it's worth upgrading to a new drone? What feature could they add?
um, with um, with mini drones, I think you would be talking about improved battery technology because there's a lot of that.
Longer battery life.
A lot of that going on at the moment, where it's in prototype or in development, where they could double the battery life of the drones, even more. And the other thing is, there's a lot of different camera technology that's up in the air at the moment. What was it RG RGY? No, RG or whatever it is. It's RGYB, I think it is.
Yeah.
Red, green, yellow, blue, whatever, black, I mean, which is a development by, I think it's Samsung that's involved in that, or Sony. And then you've got the RYYB with this one, but apparently that other technology is even grabs more light than the RYYB. So I just see it moving in that direction. Improved cameras and improved battery life. I mean, there's only so much you can cram into a 250-gram drone, because I mean, the biggest issue with a mini drone is that there's that weight restriction, due to drone government requirements. Because the EU has 250-gram limit, etc. And I think in America, I think it's just a registration issue, but nothing else. But I think there'll always be a 250-gram category due to.
Do they enforce the drone laws heavily in Australia?
They enforce them. I don't know about enforce, but certainly they're quite heavily. There's quite heavy restrictions on drone flying here. When I talk to people on social media about their own drone rules, probably in the UK and Europe, it's probably more restrictive than Australia. But you can't fly at night, full stop.
Yeah.
Unless you're have a commercial license and you apply to CASA, which is the equivalent of FAA.
Right.
Otherwise, you cannot fly at all. You cannot fly over property. Like you'll see in my videos, I'm never over the top of a house or a building or people. Because that's basically a no-no. So 30 meters. 120 meters, which is pretty much worldwide, your height limit. But I see a lot of these videos from elsewhere in the world where people they're flying over people and property and this, that, and everything else, and I'm going, if only I could do that here. You just can't do it.
Exactly.
Well, you can, but you don't put it on social media. But you know what I mean.
Here, they had somebody that flew too close to the King's Palace, and he went up, and when he went around to do his orbit, it showed down in the property of the King's Palace.
Whoa!
The fine was in the like $50,000, and $50,000 to a Thai person. So I mean, it's a lot of money to an American, but to a Thai person, $50,000 is like $500,000 to us. It's expensive.
Yeah,
so he got fined for it.
The monarchy in Thailand is highly revered, and you never ever deface the monarchy over there, or you're in big trouble. More so than the UK. My brother was
telling me last night. My brother saw something on the news or in social media. Somebody was actually flying a drone over a football game.
Yeah, I heard that. There was one on the weekend, apparently.
And it wasn't a little drone. It was like a big drone, like a Matrice, something big. Yeah, and evidently it froze. I don't know whether their software locked them out or DJI locked them out or whatever it was. And I don't know if it fell, what happened, but they stopped the game because of it. So I'm going to be looking today to figure out what happened, what's going on.
Yeah, I think Billy Kyle posted something on Twitter about it. But yeah, I did read that in the social media.
Yeah.
How to get yourself into trouble in one easy lesson.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and it's like that. You know how it is over here. They're pretty strict about what you do. And I mean, I usually fly. I mean, I'm over water most of the time when I fly here anyway. One issue that I ran into, and I did this with the Mavic 3 because I wanted to switch for a minute because you were talking about how good the Mavic 3 flies. We went to another province where we used to live, and I saw a big Buddha on a mountain. We were going down the interstate. So my wife pulled over, and she said, fly over there and check it out. Now, keep in mind, the elevation where I was just to the base of the property on the other side of the road was probably 100 foot. Okay. And then the Buddha was an additional 250 foot tall. So by the time I flew up over there to do an orbit, I wasn't tall enough to get behind it. So when I flew there, and to keep this in mind, my return to home was set at say 300 foot. Okay, now I'm already 100
Yep.
foot below where I flew there. I got
Yep.
behind the Buddha, and when it went to orbit and get behind the Buddha blocked my signal.
Yep.
It made it around, but very possibly it could have gone to 300 foot and come home. Guess what? It couldn't go to 300 foot because the Buddha's in the way.
Yep. 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 Yeah, that's not the Buddha on the way to Korat, is it? That white Buddha?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's so
No,
many.
that's right.
I mean, you know as well as me. They're
There are a
everywhere
dime a
here.
dozen over there.
But
Yeah.
so now when I'm flying in those, I told my wife, just drive up there. Just drive to the top and we'll fly from there and don't take a chance because there's a lot of hidden stuff around those areas. And you got to think about where you're taking off from compared to how tall you're going to fly because you might have to go up 80, 150 foot just to get level where that statue is. And then there's 200 or 300 foot on some of those things.
Do you have to get
So it's,
permission from? Do you have to get permission from the monks at the temples before you fly?
I think there's certain ones that you have to. Like we went downtown, me and my brother-in-law went downtown, and we're going to fly at one of the big ones down closer towards Bangkok from where we live. And he said, "Oh, just fly, just fly." I was like, "Dude, you don't understand drone laws. I'm asking." And there was a bunch of people over there that looked like guys that looked like they were police. And I said, "Go ask the guys." And they're like, "No, you got to ask like the manager that runs the whole place." So he came out and he's like, you don't want to fly. What are you flying for? What kind of channel you got? This and that. My brother-in-law was like, he didn't say anything at all. He just said it's okay. So I didn't fly. So now I will go and I'll ask and I'll say, hey, I got a channel. I'd like to show it. And I always get approval and get them on camera. So if anything ever comes up later down the road and they say, he's not supposed to be here, I can say, this guy told me I could fly.
Yeah. A funny story. I with my wife over in Thailand went to her grandmother's place, which is on the river that runs through Bangkok, but it was in Ang Thong, which is about 2 hours north of Bangkok. Anyway, and right behind her house is this huge gold sitting Buddha with a community hall, and there was all the Thais in there having a little social feast, and they got the big pots with food, and they said, "Would you like some?" And I said, "What is it?" And my wife says, "Oh, that's bush rat." And I said, "I'm not hungry today, thanks." I'm not
Hold
eating
on one
rat.
second. Let me grab this. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I got drones going to USA, and she's got to take them to the office, so the FedEx will pick them up.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
Okay.
there's some of the food over there. The street carts. With the scorpions and the whatever crickets and
The bugs.
grasshoppers and so on. I have on a drunken night at the bars, I've been game enough to eat the grasshoppers, and it just tastes like potato chips. Like your packet of crisps. Just tastes like that. And ants have had the ants as well.
Yeah, I went to my mother-in-law's house a couple of years ago with my wife, and her sisters were all there, and they were joking, and they said, tonight we're going to eat bugs. I'm like, what do you mean? They said, we're going to have some snacks, drink a little wine, and have some bugs. And they did it just to show me what it was like. And I looked at the stuff, and if you've ever had a garbage can that you've had trash in a long time outside, you know how you throw the trash away and it's always got that liquid and that smell of like dead insects. She's like, what do you think? It's like, I could handle the chewing part, but the smell, it was so bad. And when we go to markets here and I see people selling that, I'm like, who buys that stuff? I mean, rice. I mean, honestly, a lot of the people over here, I've seen them that live off basic stuff. They don't eat a lot of meat because of the cost of pork and chicken and beef. They'll eat just vegetables and be happy. But I just could not stomach the bugs. And my wife, of course, she eats bugs. But
I mean, that's a topic for another day. But apparently insects are extremely high in protein. There's no fat, and in relation to the production of insects, it's extremely efficient. Like compared to cows or whatever, you can make millions of them. In just a small little shed, and there's that much protein in them. And so probably in 20 or 30 years' time, we might be having them on our menu.
Hey, it would be a good diet program because damn, I just couldn't eat. I just have to starve.
Anyway, digressing off drones.
Okay, so anyway, look, I think we've kind of covered everything. We're running up about 2 minutes before time. We got Drone Nation coming up in about an hour after this. Give everybody a time to take a break. We appreciate everybody stopping by. And Ross, we'll see you soon, buddy. When you come back over here, we'll meet up and go flying.
Yeah, for sure. I'm over there for New Year's for 2 weeks as well. So that's
Okay.
if you're still in the country.
Yeah, I'm going back to US before Christmas, probably for a month, a little over, maybe a month and a half, and then come back here for Christmas, and then I'll go back to the US, and I've got to get some new furniture. We got another house that we bought that me and my wife are going to be going there some and here some, so I've got to go furniture shopping and get stuff for the house and all the other stuff and get that out of the way because I got a family that's been living in there now. And their lease is up, and I'm like, I'm not renewing. I'm moving back here, so I'm having to kind of work through that. So look, we're going to let it go from here, and thanks everybody in the chat for joining us tonight. And subscribe to his channel. I put it in the chat. And Ross, we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me, Robbie. Appreciate it.
See you. Thanks.